Today is the day. We have narrowed down our massive field of Rocket League teams in the Southeastern Esports League to just 3 final squads, looking for a chance at the CECC May Madness spot on the line alongside an SCL Season 5 Spring Split win. Cumberland sits pretty high and mighty in the grand finals right now with 2 chances to take that spot in a Spring Split win, but Bruton Parker and James Madison are eyeing that crown as well. I'm Mr. Bepic, joined in the booth by DJ TJ. As always, TJ, my friend, how are you doing?
It is another day, another semester, and another SCL Grand Final. They have continued to deliver almost every year that I've been involved here, which has only been about 1.5 years, but the content only gets better year by year, and this playoff bracket has been no different, but we have yet to have a Cumberland in bracket. We have yet to have a new strength Bruton Parker in bracket, a new strength JMU in bracket. It could not be a more fitting top 3 to watch today.
I think there are certainly 3 tiers of skill expected out of these 3 teams. Cumberland is expected to be a top 8 CRL roster after their performances this spring split. Bruton Parker is obviously a step below Cumberland after their winner's final performance last week on stream, where they were held at arm's length by the Phoenix. And then James Madison come in here, I think, as heavy underdogs no matter who they're playing in this top 3. But they've certainly earned their spot here. That win over Kennesaw State B was convincing last week, and their entire run through this playoff bracket has been convincing. Pigeon is the real deal, and Tyler and Gad look phenomenal this playoff bracket. I'm excited to see what they can do against BPC here.
I don't disagree by any means, but somebody's got to be devil's advocate ever so slightly. That KSU series was a weird showing.
Sure.
We got to watch a decent amount of that series. It was messy, to say the least, and also KSU had to sit out for an entire hour because Florida had forfeited without anybody really knowing that they were going to do so. So I'm not saying that it's a fraudulent win. I'm not saying that Pigeon isn't one of the best players, maybe even potentially could be one of the best players of the SCL Spring Split, depending on how JMU showcases today. But only time will tell. It is Losers Finals, Game 1.
Away we go. James Madison looking to take down Bruton Parker in a pretty big upset here. Claim a spot in the grand finals, but BPC, outside of their matches against Cumberland, I think this season have looked phenomenal. You could probably say the first 2 games against Florida in the upper bracket semifinals were pretty rough from the Barons, but outside of that, this was Bruton Parker's league coming into the spring split after taking their first championship win in the fall, and really only Cumberland has shown any ability to take it from them.
It is Spring Losers Final, and yes, that is CECC, or that is a CECC spot at the end of the tunnel that you may see in the SCL, but not to mention that all these teams are playing for very different land placing spots as well. Bruton Parker currently sits, I think, almost clinched, if not exactly clinched, as the overall #1 seed at LAN. And James Madison has a chance with a win here to actually potentially jump into P2 over at LAN, obviously with the top 8 teams across the entire SEL. And those seeds, with this year's talent, they matter. And regardless of CECC, especially if Cumberland does take it, those LAN spots, you're still fighting hard for them.
Definitely, and while we have clinched our top 8 teams for the Rocket League portion of the LAN, seeding, you're right, does matter, and JMU can do a lot of damage with some extra points here, but you are right, Bruton Parker have secured that #1 overall spot, so very fitting, considering their fall split performance and now a guaranteed top 3 in the spring. They have been one of the best and continue to show it here. Good possession in the James Madison end, but so far the Dukes are unrelenting on that back line.
Antics coming in very quickly, trying to pick up the pace for Bruton Parker. That high-octane speed tends to value, or be of biggest value to their offense as they move down the field, as Antics is cut off there by an even quicker JMU player. Pigeon, and as I mentioned, a quicker player, does get to the ball, but not for long. Cass will fake out one as well. Somebody who has continued for Bruton Parker to be not only a catalyst of not possession, or sorry, not pressure, but possession instead. But that role has changed the way Bruton Parker plays completely here in the spring split, Epic.
Tyler has just dodged Manny right there. That's a player I've got my eye on the JMU side, and not for the same reasons as Pigeon, but at the moment, JMU give that ball up to Cass for free, and that is a goal Cass will be scoring 10 times out of 10 as Pigeon gets bumped by Antics, and no one was there to help.
Bruton Parker, bump, antics, those are three words that you tend to see in the same sentence many, many times when you talk about the Barons and how they find success. And I already mentioned their speed of play, but you combine that with their bumps and always being on the ball, always finding passing lanes, and always having boosts. It's the key reason they're one of the most, if not the most, annoying team in the entire SEL to play at the very top here in the spring. But JMU, a team who has survived tougher foes on paper, and also did get a matchup with Bruton Parker earlier in this season. I believe it was a 3-1 in the group stage, and it wasn't a very convincing 3-1, but JMU has shown that they have the potential to at least push Bruton Parker to the limit, but that was without Tyler as well. So a whole lot of question marks so far here in Game 1.
Perhaps second try's the charm, but Bruton Parker are looking very likely to be scoring a second goal soon, as a triple commit on the JMU goal line nets them a save, but does consume a lot of resources. So, Gad loses this 50-50, which it looks like he has, though Pigeon does follow him up, so I'll just scratch that if scenario, as JMU aren't dealing in ifs right now, they're dealing in certainties, and they certainly get a little bit of possession to work with, but again, it is short-lived as BPC continue to control the field domination in this first game.
Slowly approaching a minute left of game time, and JMU have yet to find a true offensive possession now. And actually, I should clarify, a true offensive shot in possession. Meanwhile, BPC almost finds a great counter here. It falls directly into Cass, who goes top right, is blocked by Pigeon, but a lot of boost is being used on the side of JMU. It's not a recipe for success, and even Gad, somebody who was trying to lead the counterattack, hasn't gotten to be nearly as annoying or as aggressive of first man as we've seen Gad be in the past with his JMU roster. All the keys of their success, they're just simply not hitting right now, but this fake it opened up the lane for Pigeon. It will be blocked off by both players missing. Gad will try and take a stab at it, but will fall short. Now the counterattack for Bruton Parker is read by Tyler. Manny's got time. 40 seconds to go. Bruton Parker not trying to get too anxious, but still putting good shots on.
It's good defense by JMU as Bruton Parker continue to look for an insurance goal, but they need offense themselves, the Dukes do. Down by 1, 30 seconds to go, and Bruton Parker haven't given them many looks at offense. Just 4 shots in this game, and Pigeon's got 3 of those. He is back to his productive self in offense, just no goals to show for the JMU effort so far. And Gad will try and change that, moving up with Tyler, who can't commit for that ball. So a 0-second play is looking likely, but Bruton Parker score with 8 seconds left and effectively ice game 1.
Against many other teams in the SEL, this is a shot you're willing to give up. Not against Manny and the Barons. That's too easy, and they'll put in the dagger here with 8 seconds to go.
And Manny's a player that I've been critical of in the early goings of series. I think in the first 2 games against Florida, in that winner's bracket semifinal match, he was the one making a lot of critical errors, especially defensively, when BPC were not looking like themselves against the Gators. And against Cumberland in game 1, when they lose by 7 goals, again, Manny's missing things in defense that I'm not used to seeing him miss. But here, he's looking pretty good so far, as is the rest of the BPC lineup. They look like themselves against James Madison, and typically, that's a recipe for a grand finals run.
We've had this conversation in the previous Bruton Parker series this season as well. Funny enough, I actually believe we did cash James Madison versus Bruton Parker earlier in the season. And the narrative hasn't changed too much from, it's not as much about Cass anymore. Maybe early in the group stage it was because he was a new addition. But now it's about with Manny and Antics, 2 players who have always been extremely dependable players in the SEL, in CRL, across the nation as a whole. When they falter, what does Bruton Parker do to then cover their backside? Because when they were pushed against the test against Cumberland on stream, they didn't have any answers. And even in a very long, hard-fought, relatively close series towards the end, they still couldn't find any major adjustments. They did get a game, don't get me wrong, but outside of that, I don't want to say luck, like I always say on this broadcast. I never want to say the word luck, but there was some external factors and some misplays from Cumberland that led Bruton Parker to grab 1 goal and then to win off that 1 goal. And James Madison, well, or maybe will make more of those mistakes. So far, they really haven't, but it's also because they got no offense right now. So Bruton Parker suffocation is something that we're used to, but it almost feels like that you may already be looking at the next game too early unless JMU can start to bounce back.
Let's see what happens on Forbidden Temple. This is a big game for the Dukes here. Reverse sweep against the Barons is quite unlikely in this kind of situation with them, I'm sure, hungry for some revenge against the Cumberland Phoenix. But already, Bruton Parker is off and running offensively. A couple of good looks, so they have to stop this passing play now. And it's Antics alone on the goal line to do so. It doesn't convert possession back into the name of Bruton Parker. So James Madison can establish themselves a bit in offense, but the Barons break right out.
Big pinch from Antics will give Manny some time to simply wait, see what Pigeon can do. No reset just yet. Finally will come out with an air dribble over one as well. Antics on his back line, but no major demo. Tyler, tough catch. We'll have to let Gad go. Bad 50 will stay middle. Cass, room to work. No reset. Will get a nice 50, though. No second touch. Nobody from Bruton Parker goes. JMU, tough 50. Not a lot of boost for Pigeon. Will win that 50 as well. James Madison, again, they're controlling the pace of this game decently well in their back end, but outside of that, they've got to find the offense and don't find the defense just yet. And now Manny will get a second try. He doesn't miss it 2 times in a row.
Well, up until that point, James Madison had been playing toe ball really well, making good reads on where the ball was going, but right there, Bruton Parker finally found consecutive open lanes to play that ball. Maybe that first shot should have been in. We heard the gong of failure there for a moment, but there was a good rebound opportunity, and BPC score the opener. It's now 3 consecutive for the Barons to open up this lower bracket finals, and James Madison could use a score here soon, but the Barons always seem to have 2 players on their goal line with plenty of boost to work.
They need a score at all. For James Madison, you're picking at straws, and there we go. Finally, they pull the right one out. Will tie up the game, and it's off of just a slight bit of chaos in the midfield.
Well, that read right there by Gad, again, playing toe ball quite well. I think just his pinky toe of the Octane made contact with that ball, and that plus a demo in the midfield was enough to find an open net for Pigeon, who last week, when we watched them play against Kennesaw State, he had goal participation on 12 of the 13 goals that James Madison scored in that series. He was statistically dominant in that best of 5. And here he's involved early on, but set up extremely well by Gad, who defensively lets that ball go, and Antics is on cleanup duty. 2-1, Bruton Parker.
I'll be the first to admit I was very critical on Antics. You had Manny in your sights. I had Antics in mine. It didn't seem like they were grinding at that last week period against Cumberland or most of the group stage at that. But now it seems like the cruise control has been taken off, and Antics has been a real game changer here, not only in Game 1, but early on in Game 2. Double fake, make it one more, goes for the bump. Will open up the net for Cass, and what a save from Pigeon. Manny by himself will have to try and stall some time. Will find Antics, but as I mentioned him, he almost found a highlight play early.
No interception there. Pigeon's alone in defense, but sends that ball downfield. And Manny's ready for it. Now he wants a skim off the sidewall. It goes in the general direction of the net, the contact that he makes on the ball. But Pigeon collects, and that leads to a clear as Tyler makes sure that Manny's still awake on the goal line. And now Pigeon will do the same for Antics. But at the end of the play, gets Cass that ends up pushing that ball over the midfield line. And Bruton Parker survive another JMU attempt on their net. Antics will add to their defensive resume in Game 2 as another shot develops for JMU. That's their 6th of the game. An improved mark from the start of this series, but only that one open net is their result from all this offense they're putting on the board.
Pigeon pulling a lot of third-man counterattack weight right now. Almost every major clear has come at the hands or the dribble of Pigeon thus far. And so for Gad and Tyler, yes, they're finding midfield interactions like this, but when it's awkward behind Pigeon right here, you can't capitalize just yet, and you're still down 1. So slowly approaching the 92nd point of this game. Not a lot of time, not a lot of attacks left to work. You got to find something soon if you're JMU. You found momentum here in this game, but is it too little too late? Also, Bruton Parker, very much still on your net. Top bar was the goal, and Manny will hit it, but again, it's Pigeon finding the save. Finds another, could get the 1v1. Flicks early, though. Will also grab the boost under Antics. He is still on this ball. Manny will finally deny that, but JMU, I mean, if it's not Pigeon, who can step up?
Pigeon hasn't gotten the memo that Forbidden Temple is a location of serenity as he zips around the field, but here's Tyler finding Pigeon with a dime! Again, Pigeon is hitting his shots, but Gad and Tyler now have 2 massive assists in this game as Tyler finds a seam, and we're tied up.
Well, I take it right back. Great pass comes off the corner. Granted, Pigeon did have to slot that, and that is not a shot that he misses very often, if at all. 60 seconds just about left to go here. And JMU, I mean, it feels like the longer you let Bruton Parker get warm, they're going to be blazing hot by the end of this series. You've got to find your games early.
Well, interim director Trussell has joined the Twitch chat, so they better lock in here. Bruton Parker have the eyes of their fans on them, expecting, I'm sure, a trip to the grand finals as we get a rematch against Cumberland. But at the moment, they are being tested by James Madison. This is the closest that this series has been so far in its infancy, but still, 30 seconds to go. We're tied up at 2 apiece with overtime potentially on the horizon, and James Madison cooking up more and more possession to wear down this Barons back line.
Tyler looks middle, will find Pigeon. 2 members of Bruton Parker jump awkwardly for that one, so all the possession does belong to JMU. Gad, very awkward, has to waste about almost 100 boosts just to recover there. Ball could still go middle. Cass is there. Cass is popping it over 1. 8 seconds to go. It could be heartbreak for JMU.
Oh, that is heartbreak right here. Tyler has to wait on this ball as he turns back towards the goal line and doesn't play it off the backboard. Great finish by Cass, and Bruton Parker dismantle James Madison's transition defense there in crunch time too. 1 goal out in front with only a couple of seconds to kill, and Tyler to stop. Manny gets the block, and Cass won't even be necessary. That ball stays down, and BPC grabbed 2 games out in front of James Madison.
Controlled chaos is the name of the game for Bruton Parker. Regardless of the roster that's playing, regardless of what year you're talking about, they will always be the masters of the demolition and how to thrive through all the smoke that comes in front of them. This series so far has been no different. This game especially. I mean, Pigeon having truly a masterclass here in Game 2, but I'm going to keep saying this, but it's the only real storyline I can see here for James Madison, is that Tyler and Gad are now starting to find their rhythm against a very formidable, very experienced Bruton Parker team, but they're still trying to find how can you actually make the outplay? How can you upset a 1v1 against one of these incredible rank A or higher level players that you could argue? And they're trying to figure that out together, but as you can see throughout the score, it's just not true. I mean, Pigeon, I know viewers can't see this, but I'll translate. Pigeon has 660 points, 6 shots, 2 goals, and then on the side of Tyler and Gad, I'll admit, yes, Bebic, they do have assists, but they haven't done much more other than that.
Has been grindy for James Madison. I don't know if completely critiquing individuals is, I mean, necessarily the reason why James Madison's faltering at the moment. They were making good reads at the point, but there have been moments where they haven't made defensively the right read on where Bruton Parker's going with the ball. And those are the moments where Bruton Parker will stay consistent enough to grab goals, especially that last counterattack there at the end, where just a couple of awkward plays in defense are what lead to Bruton Parker scoring another. And now Cass, to open us up, is looking for first blood early on in Game 3. And James Madison have to step up that consistency at the moment. And maybe it is Gad and Tyler that have to find more consistency themselves, as Pigeon definitely has been his usual self. But let's see what they can do to steal away a game on Driftwoods now, as Antics has been blown up, but still gets the ball over towards Manny, and BPC keep on cooking in offense.
It is wild and chaotic that the only best of 7 in all of SCL fall or spring split playoffs is that grand final and the potential bracket reset if needed. Best of 5 is a punishing format, and Bruton Parker are using it as a true weapon, grabbing the first goal here.
They've just jumped out to a head start and never really given up ground to James Madison, scoring consistently, defending well, and there's another just 40 seconds in for Bruton Parker to work with. First blood early on Driftwoods, and it's James Madison playing off the back foot as it has been for a good bit of this best of 5.
Manny on his back line by himself, has to be careful with his touch. Antics will be able to save the corner pinch and make his way over Tyler. Gad up next. Great pinch across, but it won't be shootable just yet. Pigeon wants more than that, though. Goes for the dooms. He won't find it or a bump. Tyler down on net. It's not going to be read correctly by Cass. It will not hit the post, and Antics did read it correctly. Could have a shot on net. Great fake, though, from Pigeon, who is struggling with boost. Will still get a very powerful flick, and will force Manny to use all of their boosts. So JMU, they're cracking the armor of Bruton Parker, but again, I mean, when you lose a game by 8 seconds, there's only so much to really go over other than do it all over again. but then you've got to clutch up. You've got to ice up. Got to find your goals a little earlier, because here in an elimination game, you're going to be playing from behind against one of the best teams in all of the nation, not to mention SCL.
Pigeon's got a 1v1 here against Manny, and he stops that ball on the goal line, but Manny gets a piece. And Antics, in an attempt to clear the ball off the goal line, did have a JMU player read the play nicely, but it doesn't result in anything too dangerous, once again, for Bruton Parker to deal with. And that's been the trick, is making Bruton Parker make mistakes in defense. Find those gaps between players in rotation, as BPC do to James Madison. With this possession, Bruton Parker will try again, but are stopped early on, as Pigeon breaks away and is stopped quickly by Cass in transition. It's more good defense from the Barons.
A lot of panic, or slight panic at least, on the Bruton Parker back line for the first time this series. Nobody from JMU was around the area, but a lot of giveaways from Bruton Parker. As I say that, though, they almost find a beautiful counterattack off of Manny's fake. Will be held off for the time being. Awkward touch, Tyler on the net. Dangerous play from Antics there, but Manny able to now return the favor from earlier and cover him. Fake double shot, bottom corner. Pigeon reads it beautifully down to the exact car placement on that shot. He could find more than just placement, though. We'll look for the counter goal. Won't find a touch. Will go middle. Manny's off the ball. Where is the second man? Tyler comes in extremely late, and JMU, their most open chance of the series, will not be converted.
And it leads now Bruton Parker clear and almost stretch pass into second goal, but Antics can't put the ball on target, though JMU are fumbling a little bit to immediately clear back the other way, as their possession numbers have gotten better since game one, fairly consistently, but they still can't do a ton with those possessions in the Bruton Parker end, though. That's a nice attempt on the interception, but Bruton Parker are still connecting with their passing plays and advancing forward fairly consistently, and won't give anything easy the other way. Man takes that ball for free, but doesn't make good contact, and we've got a scrum at the midfield line as both sides do struggle over possession.
Pigeon, single jump, able to save that flip and not only work his way over Cass, but Antics as well. Double commit for Bruton Parker. Boost will be grabbed on both their corners, but I was going to say JMU finding great space to work with regardless of that boost grab in the corner. But as I say that, major counter goes across. Gad is now out of position. Tyler must dive in. Pigeon, redirect. It will be on net. Antic stays alive, but now Pigeon is taken off the pitch. The demos for JMU are starting to get into their true postseason form, but that double commit is not the form they wanted. Very heavy touch for Manny. He'll go for the bump instead. Antics there, and that is textbook Bruton Parker and the potential early dagger once again.
A lot of labored efforts in offense on Driftwoods, but Bruton Parker finally throw a look at James Madison that the Dukes can't get a handle on. 2-0 with less than a minute left and a trip to the grand finals on the line.
50 seconds. Pigeon could go on net. Will find it. So the door was cracked open. Now it's starting to move on its own here. A great kickoff from Tyler. Pigeon gets a clean beat. Cass completely caught off guard, and JMU right back in it.
All right, well, okay. We were getting excited, maybe thinking that was the end for the lower bracket finals for Bruton Parker, but no, a good kickoff goal puts Cass in an awkward spot, and now Pigeon's got control off the next kickoff. He's dangerous in these spots, we all know that, and he's showing us exactly why. Pigeon's popping off, and we're tied just like that.
Grab your wings and fly, Pigeon. What in the world is the carry over one from a tough angle, I must add, not to mention the absolute drop on the head of a Bruton Parker defender. Pigeon has grabbed the Dukes and put them in the backpack. Kickoff strategy for Bruton Parker. Cass is there for the game, potentially. Bottom corner almost was just in by itself. 30 seconds to go, and JMU's got all sorts of new life.
Cleared, though, is going to meet Manny, who has space to collect this ball and pop it between all three JMU players. He's still chasing this down with nothing in the boost tank, buying time for Antics to move in. Bruton Parker have been clutch late in regulation in every single game so far, and they could do the same in Driftwoods right now, but they have to break off their goal line, and JMU won't let them. A chance now for the Dukes to win this late without an overtime being necessary, though. The ball touches dirt on 0 seconds, and we do get some extra time here to decide if this series keeps going or if Bruton Parker move on.
Manny boxes Tyler out. Antics has Pigeon backwards. Will go for the bump. And Gad is there to save the day. But I'm sure every single member of the JMU family just took a very deep sigh of relief after Gad came flying across that net. Pigeon above this ball. It'll be a fake for one. Antics, heavy touch. Gad is there. Will be dunked by Cass, but it goes the other way around. It will be in the Bruton Parker half. Antics now will bump another player out. And throughout all of that, Bruton Parker struggling for boost until Manny will now grab a counterattack. We'll go for the bump. Pigeon is there and is able to find a touch. It's weak, but Gad is there with a lot of boost. Has to use all of it just for a 50, though. Tyler dodges one, is going to work his way towards Antics, who does get a nice 50. Another one comes through. Manny will look for his teammate, the European import. Backboard for a spot in the grand finals. Blocked by Pigeon. Antics part 2 won't find anything. Tyler, no boost, will fake for Gad. Can the captain call game? That looks like it will have to be a question remained unanswered, but both teams exchanging major blows.
Trying again. Pigeon has Gad center. Well, he did. Cass takes him out, and Bruton Parker are playing well, keeping this ball in their corner in a non-lethal spot for JMU's offense that eventually leads to a lobbing clear caught by Pigeon. He stepped up to tie us up earlier on, and now all eyes are on him to see if he can keep this series going, but it's the captain calling game here and keeping his Dukes alive.
It's a complete ruination for Bruton Parker. Antics pour 50, Cass side flips after jumping early, and Manny just completely misreads it. I think there was a combined 30 boost in the tank of all three Bruton Parker players at the end there, and it's a critical error, not to mention they gave up 3 goals in a row. I mean, we just saw a reverse sweep in one game.
I thought for sure that was the end once they found their second goal, but James Madison never say die, and we will keep this lower bracket finals going until we've got a winner. 2 more games necessary for the Dukes, just 1 win necessary for Bruton Parker to get that Cumberland rematch, and that was another close one. The pressure is mounting on James Madison's shoulders, and they can feel it, but with every goal that they get against the Bruton Parker defense that is still making mistakes on their back line and off kickoff. I think about that awkward cast moment where he gives up an open net to Pigeon. I mean, James Madison, if they can keep doing stuff like that and exploiting those moments, and the pressure mounts on the Barons.
Not to mention how stout the defense has been from James Madison as well.
Yeah.
Yes, they did give up 2 iffy slasher goals. You can make the argument as you will. Not entirely what you'd expect from Bruton Parker other than the air dribble bumps. James Madison took that and went shutout for the rest of the game. That is a lot to go off of for their chances of potentially reverse sweeping, potentially taking this game forward right here. But I don't know if it can be replicated across a full second 5-minute span. But Game 4 will have all the answers and more. Do we go to grand finals with the Barons, or do we go to 5?
Utopia Coliseum will have answers for us, but it takes a while to develop those answers, and Antics will look to give us an early warning sign as to where we could be headed, but is shut down by Tyler, who dunks Cass as well, though out to the side. So it's not a clear for James Madison. Gad will give it to us, at least temporarily, as Manny intercepts, locates Cass, and Bruton Parker in these first minutes have been so dominant with possession. They'll win that opening kickoff, and then JMU don't see the light of day until maybe 30, 45 seconds into the game.
Cass, great pinch downfield. It won't be a pass to Antics, though. 50 does come through, but it will be in the favor of JMU. Manny, very bold dive, though. We'll take those words right out of my mouth. Pigeon, reset. We'll find maybe one more, exactly that. But Cass, not even worried, not concerned or threatened, doesn't jump at all. And you can see Bruton Parker not having a game plan across anybody other than Cumberland on the defensive half. But on the offensive half, almost every air dribble bump has been aimed at Pigeon. So that line of respect seems to just be ever evolving for Bruton Parker when you talk about a player like Pigeon. And also, not to mention Gad's stellar performance last game as well. But for the time being, they're going to keep all the speed, all the pressure in the favor of themselves towards JMU. As I say that, Pigeon has a counter, looks to do more magic with his hood, and does get a great touch top left. Tyler, reset though, trying to make a highlight of his own. Already a minute 30 in, and this might be our closest game yet.
Gad dove in, didn't make contact on that Antics clear, and so Bruton Parker pierce to the JMU back line. It's Manny signing off on the play, but he was set up well by Antics here.
Set up well by Tyler as well, who tried to come in and make a play happen, but as that ball fell down, there was no immediate Manny play. Nobody made the comm, nobody saw, and it's a giveaway from Tyler. So an unfortunate mistake to make it an elimination game, but JMU has already proven they can come back from 2 goals straight, and they're gonna have to do it one more time here. Here's the second.
Manny returns the favor. Antics wins the kickoff and then just tracks as Manny causes havoc there on the James Madison back line. Bumps Pigeon out of the way, and that was the last line of defense for James Madison. Once again, they face the barrel of a 2-goal deficit, and they've got plenty of time for a comeback to happen, but surely Bruton Parker don't let another multi-goal lead slip in a closeout game.
I don't know if we have any more Castler curses left. It's been a very long fall and spring split to get us down to these last few series, not to mention LAN as well. So for JMU, I don't know if we can help them anymore. I think it's solely up to can Pigeon replicate his success that he's found the entire series, and can Gad continue to be a stonewall on the defensive line. And how about a pass instead? A great flick over not just 1 but 2, and Tyler taps it in.
Surely not. Gad thinks otherwise. That's a perfect pass to Tyler, who followed that play nicely and nailed his mark. That's a high-pressure situation to find a goal in that kind of golden situation for James Madison. But the substitute has stepped up here and and Manny has just doubled the Bruton Parker lead. It was cut back down to 1, and he double taps that 3rd goal in. What a shot!
It's the heat of the South at its finest. Georgia boy himself slots that one bottom right and was going to try to lead the Barons through the back half of this game. We only just now have reached the halfway point of Game 4, and if things continue, we should be in for another treat here, Pepe.
Cass has no boost. He's trying to win 50 after 50, but Tyler gets the best of him, and that will lead to James Madison breaking away. Pigeon taking a 50 to set up Gad with a 50 on target-ish. Tyler was given a chance off of a rebound attempt to score a 2nd goal and again get James Madison back within 1, but Pigeon will try his hand. Flip reset challenge goes off the ceiling and sets up Gad, but his shot is stopped by Manny. Antics clears on an open net, and Bruton Parker catch JMU lacking.
I mean, down 2 goals, 2 minutes to go. I don't blame James Madison for being so aggressive, for being so far up, but you've got to handle the consequences, and no third man will not cover that question by any means. 2 minutes left to go. James Madison's got a tough mountain to climb.
Now things are really out of hand for JMU. 2 minutes and 3 goals required of them, with Bruton Parker playing solid enough defensively to where I'm not sure it's going to happen, though this is a 2v1 cut down early by Antics, who's then set up by a beautiful pass from Manny. Those two have been dynamic in Game 4 and are shining on one of the SCL's biggest stages.
This is a statement game for Bruton Parker. They want to show to Cumberland and everybody in the SCL that they are bare minimum a top 2 team without any single shred of doubt. And so far, they're looking to fit that narrative and then some. 5-1 with just about 100 seconds to go.
Gad taken out. Cass can kill a lot of time in the offensive zone for BPC and has Antics and Manny to help out with that task. Off the backboard, James Madison make a good read and they clear, but they need offense now. All 3 letters capitalized, and that dive end's not going to help as it makes no contact. Tyler and Pigeon double commit there in the defensive zone for JMU, and nothing's going right for him at the moment. Bruton Parker can taste that grand final spot.
Gonna be awkward for JMU to try and get their hands on it with a minute left here. They've got to find something quick. I mean, it's almost mathematically impossible to score 4 goals in a row once we reach that 30-second mark, and we are already halfway there. Now, Manny will take another chance, and that interval will be extended even further. It's a 5-goal lead now.
6-1, and I said Bruton Parker can taste the grand final spots. They are devouring that chance at the moment as it slips away from James Madison and now sits on Bruton Parker's side of the table. That's where they made their money in the fall. It's where they expect to be, and JMU might get a consolation goal here, but this lower bracket finals, they're over.
Oh, and add another one as well. Bruton Parker is not only trying to travel to Huntsville, they're trying to go to Brazil as well. And you don't want to see it if you're a JMU fan, but at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see Bruton Parker with a rematch in the grand finals.
And if they can keep up the bright spots of this current form, they can certainly keep competitive with Cumberland, but they do need to clean up some of those backline errors. I mean, this was a great series from Bruton Parker in beating James Madison. When you upgrade from likely a top 40, top 35 team in the CRL landscape to a top 8 team in the CRL landscape, you have to make sure you're playing to perfection. But right now, Bruton Parker can celebrate their win, though they've only got about 20 minutes to really enjoy said celebration before they have to lock in again.
I mean, for now, they'll continue to stat pad just a little bit with an extra shot, an extra pass here and there, and JMU just looking for any sort of consolation goal to take home with them as they get ready for land in their own time. But with 3 seconds left, it looks like none of those will happen. Ball should hit the ground in just a second here. No dunk. Left side will not bounce in. So it's a clean 7-1 statement from the Barons, and they will go back to Cumberland.
Great fight from James Madison throughout that series, but Bruton Parker showed them who's boss there at the end. A dominant closeout game with Manny and Antics. I mean, they have been the dynamic duo on this team since Bruton Parker joined the league, and they showed exactly why. They worked so well together. Consistently good passes, good solo play setups as well. They both did all the scoring in this game and had 6 assists as well. I need to check. Hold on. Did Cass even have an assist? No. Cass made 5 saves. In defense, he was phenomenal. But in offense, all the stats went to Antics and Manny.
Same story in Game 3 as well, but then it was the exact opposite when you flip around and look at Game 2 and 1. This level of duality, this level of variety is what a team like Bruton Parker, one of the best teams in the nation, should bring to the table. It's what we didn't get to see last week. It's now what is finally coming out to fruition. But you already mentioned at the end of that game, can they take it a notch up? Can they step up to the task and take on a top 8 team? And some would even argue higher than that for Cumberland, who are the team to beat after Bruton Parker held that title for almost a year straight.
And I want to plug in real quick to see where Bruton Parker now officially sit when it comes to points on the leaderboard, as they did cement themselves in that #1 seed going into land, but they've got 80 points right now, and the next highest team is Florida at 50 at the moment. And I think that sums up Bruton Parker's tenure in the SEL since they joined last January now. So BPC, 40 points in either split so far with a chance to get 8 more, but they have to beat Cumberland in 2 consecutive best-of-7s, and that is a bit of a marathon. And against Cumberland, the stress of having to go through even 1 best-of-7 is doubled even further.
I mean, I know in my time here in the SEL, I have not seen a bracket reset happen yet. And the format has changed, so maybe in the deep past of the SEL, Beppe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember the last time I saw an SEL bracket reset, at least online. I'm not sure if SEL Land had some funny stories, but regardless, we also haven't had this level of talent. I mean, this top 8, if you put any of these teams in the old SEL of maybe 2-3 years ago, they would dominate at the time. They would be extremely hard to beat. So now when they all have to go against each other here on present day, who will come out on top? All signs point to Cumberland, but Bruton Parker have shown they can punch above their weight class.
I don't know. These teams never had to play Festive Invader on LAN, and that's all I'll say. As it was Kentucky over UTK. I think the last time we saw a bracket reset in a grand finals, online or on LAN. We got a number of bracket resets in the early stages of the SCL, but nothing since. As Florida State beat King 2 fall splits ago, and then we saw who won in the spring. UTK won in the spring without too much hassle, and then in the fall we saw a pretty dominant grand finals there as well. ETSU did their best against this Bruton Parker team, but it wasn't enough. We weren't seeing a bracket reset there, and we'll see if BPC can change that narrative as they are on the other side of the bracket reset conversation. This split, we get confirmation that they are skipping the interview to prepare for Cumberland. So, TJ, do you want any last words in preparation, or should we get to that break?
I mean, I guess I'm the closest thing to a Georgia interview. I mean, I'm not too far down the road, I guess, but I will say I've been the first one to be critical of Burton Parker. I'm the first one to root for him as well. So I think without further ado, we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, the SEL Spring Split Grand Finals. The time has finally come. Don't go anywhere.
And then there were two. Cumberland and Bruton Parker, a fitting grand finals matchup for the conclusion to SCL's Season 5 Spring Split. On one hand, you have the winner of the fall in Bruton Parker after a pretty dominant run through that semester. And now you've got Cumberland, a reinvigorated Phoenix roster that has outright crushed anybody in their path this spring, en route to a LAN appearance later in May, where we could see another iteration of this matchup. But we have to get through the spring split first to see if the Barons will be dethroned or if the Cumberland Phoenix lose 2 consecutive best of 7s to come out in second place. It would be unbelievable either way. TJ, are you ready for this one?
How could you not be ready? We're on a beautiful double date. One of the most talented double dates the SCL has ever seen. The most talent we've had on the pitch at once, and I hope in the booth as well as we get along with our very first best of 7, or only best of 7 of the entire spring season. Not to mention there's 1,000 different LAN scenarios and issues you could tackle and go over, but the biggest one of them all is, are you going to earn your spot to Texas, which both these schools have been to CECC before on different rosters in the past. In Cumberland's case, for Bruton Parker, I believe they went, and I could be wrong, 2 years ago, but I'll fact check during the game. They want it, Cumberland wants it, and I expect this to be a lot closer than how the upper bracket final went.
All right, well, both sides are ready to start what could be our first best of 7 of the SCL Season 5 Spring Split Grand Finals, sponsored by MSI. Here we go. Cumberland and Bruton Parker set to do battle, and Cumberland have already won the kickoff, but don't build too much with it just yet.
One of the biggest points of that upper bracket final was that Bruton Parker looked lost, but Cass has the map and a compass, and he finds the first goal of the grand final.
Well, they look good against James Madison at punishing any opening they were given. And here, Cumberland, who are coming into this series maybe cold, considering they haven't just played a lower bracket final as the Barons have, but they gave them an opening regardless. And Bruton Parker sees it. Here's a potential second one.
Cass looking for a teammate. Counterattack is made for Naya, but no shot just yet. Could have gone back-to-back with the early counters, but Cumberland will have to wait. This is a team who hasn't gotten to play all day. Have had to wait. As far as I'm concerned, they don't have any other league matches they've had to play today either, so it's about as cold, I think, as the team will ever be. At least when we got to the upper final, it was equal playing field. But Bruton Parker came off a very nice, contested, hot Game 4 win against JMU. All the confidence should lean in their favor, and it seems like so far that the upper final has been forgotten completely by the Barons.
Well, this is certainly a game they need to go their way. Getting out of this first series without too many scratches and bruises will be massive for Bruton Parker, but Cumberland are slowly finding their footing now. It's been a couple of good reads that midfield line and forced BPC to get creative when it comes to clearing their back line. And with a couple of slightly inaccurate passes, that sequence won't work out in their favor. And Cumberland, show them how it's done. A quick passing play to get us all tied up.
The midfield just belongs to the Phoenix, as nobody had a chance at pushing. Antics was going for the back boost. Manny had no boost at all, and Cass was out of position. Bruton Parker caught lacking after a little bit of misdirection for Cumberland.
That midfield domination can work wonders against even the best defenses in the league. And Cumberland, once again, step up in the grindy part of the game here, as they rotating well, managing boost well, though Nex has cut that ball off and now can't keep control, but has Naya upfield to perfectly field the play and once again push Cumberland to that BPC back line.
Manny, awkward as well, does very narrowly avoid a bump attempt. Next will go back on net, surprisingly, and almost does find something in the corner of the Bruton Parker net, but for the time being, Manny, counterattack, almost finds a third flick in a row. Instead, it's a polar shot. Very powerful one at that, but Cass does regain himself. Manny could have passed it, but instead, it's going to be slight miscommunication. Ball does go right back into the corner of Bruton Parker, and now the bumps continue for Cumberland. They seem to truly be a masterclass level team when it comes to offense and how they navigate around every team's back halves, regardless of if it's CRL, regardless of the SCL, or many of the other leagues that they compete in. They always seem to be favorites where they show up Bruton Parker. This is their home turf. They're going to try and defend.
This is certainly not the game one that we saw last week between these two. It was an 8-1 victory that Cumberland stormed out with in that upper bracket final. But here, Bruton Parker are showing that they have stepped into this grand finals with a fervor and a lot of anticipation of a regaining of former glory here in the spring split. So far, they've gotten themselves a couple of leads, but they need to close this one out.
Polar redirect will stall out Cass, but will also make it hard for both Nex and Nightya. And as I say, that corner read won't be on net. Nightya side flip. Polar has to be careful. Will beat Antics, but Nex has to be careful as well. Not a lot of boost on the side of Cumberland. Play does make its way under Cass, and Cumberland are finding their possessions, but the Bruton Parker defense has completely turned a new leaf over. And these counterattacks have been almost perfectly played each and every living time. But as I say that, Antics goes diving for a play. Manny is out. Next goes backboard. Double tap straight down. Cass, though, as patient and as controlled as ever, is not phased.
All right, yeah, it's taking out Cass, that midfield line, but it was in the middle of his rotation back. So Cumberland do take a step away from offense for the moment. And Bruton Parker are trying their best to make sure the Phoenix don't get back to that front foot. But on that front foot, they find themselves again. And with every single strike on target, it feels like that BPC backline is weakened.
From Polar's tag down to his resume, he's got the most experience on the pitch by a mile and a half. And he's brought that expertise across the pond into North America for this reason. He is very, very close to perfect in terms of what he can do on the ball. Pre-jump as well for Nex. Somebody whose pass includes less RLCS and more freestyling. But both of them tend to find plenty of success with their new third. But Bruton Parker giving them a run for their money. We are tied in game one.
BPC, once again, are stuck in their defensive half as Cumberland have had 80% field domination for the first 4 minutes. We have spent 80% of this game in that Bruton Parker side, but the Barons still find themselves in a manageable position, tied with Cumberland, but Nex doesn't want that to remain the case for too much longer. Great shot on target, and it led to a rebound attempt by Nightya, but both don't find their mark, and Cumberland have gotten close, but only now do they take a late lead, and it's Nightya stuffing it in.
An and one for Naya. Didn't even have to touch it. I thought it landed on that ball, and it looked like that they did, but regardless, the touch did not register. It went off of about 2 different Bruton Parker defenders. That's a tough one to give up here. And Cumberland, though starting cold, are in a prime spot to start out early in game one.
Shifting to a pinball grand finals there on the BPC goal line, but Cumberland, I don't think it quite matters how they score goals here. It just matters that they find themselves an advantage in a game that BPC's looked fairly strong in. Cumberland could very well still be taking games off of them. With 20 seconds left, we need to see Bruton Parker break out now. With 15 seconds to go, it's still Cumberland in the offensive zone. Cass will try to fake an entry up the side wall, but Cumberland still don't bite, and they can put this game to bed. Nearly a fourth found, but either way, it's the Phoenix rushing forward to grab a game one win if they can make just one more good touch on the ball, though Bruton Parker keep it up. Now Polo's got no boost on the goal line. He can only throw it away. There actually is a chance here for BPC, but Cumberland still come out on top.
Second man and third man, both not close enough. Polar's drop was a dangerous call in front of his own net. Could have been a beautiful pass down to an opposite team, but not close enough. And calm, composed in the moment. I say that word time and time again, but for Polar, I mean it. He is the leader on the pitch for both teams. But Cass having a very nice showing of his own. 5 saves leading the Bruton Parker defense.
It is nice. It kept them in a manageable spot. I mean, Bruton Parker were in a couple of good positions in this series to maybe grab an extra goal to grab game one. But Cumberland, at the end of the day, it's a different kind of domination. It's not the 7-goal advantage they had at the end of game one in the upper bracket finals, but it's 80% field domination. And it's next to impossible to win a game of Rocket League when you're stuck in your defensive half for 80% of a game.
There's few teams below the top, I'll say 10 to 12 of CRL that you can compare Cumberland to. But at the very top, they are not a team who likes to take their time. They will push you the entire game. That 80-20 split is not something that is new, and Bruton Parker should be aware of that if they've done any replay review on this team, and it seems like they've made the adjustments. Their defense is much more intertwined in the right way, where they're able to play off of each other, but when they get on the counter, which they only got 3 shots in the first 4 minutes of that game, they were efficient, but they've got to survive the war, and General Nightya strikes first.
More shooting clinicality here. A perfect strike to beat Manny back, and it wasn't particularly close. 7 seconds are all that Cumberland need to grab first blood here, and they were rolling there at the end of game 1, and they will keep that going into Forbidden Temple.
Reset for Antics, has Manny there. Shot is pushed wide, though. Right back on the other side is Cass, but Manny could not turn around quick enough. Next reset will force Manny out. The boost does spawn on them as well. Polar, soft touch. Antics does get a very heavy touch back. Nightya's able to look for his freestyling teammate. Next, though, opting for a more comp play. We'll just try to keep possession in the meantime. Polar waiting, middle, Cass faking. Next does read it through the drive-through attempt. Antics will accidentally pass to Polar, but does get the read directly after. Cass early flick. It's going to be given directly to Nightya. Now Neck gets another possession, has another flip. Mechanical Master himself finding another potential shot. But the Bruton Parker defense more than used to that after seeing this team more than enough times. Awkward setup for Next there. A little reverse entry type of action, but no drifting going on either side of the pitch. It is very straightforward action.
Oh, that would have been a good pass if Antics was facing upfield, but he makes up for it. Finds Cass out to the side, though misses contact on the ball, and BPC are starting to make those same mistakes that they were in the last matchup against this Cumberland team, where now the Phoenix are still capitalizing on every little error and continuing to be, it feels like 2 steps ahead of BPC. All 3 Cumberland members seem to know where that ball is going next and are positioning extremely well for it, as Polar now finds it clear with some BPC confusion, and now he'll place a shot on target, testing Antics, who does pass right there, but now Bruton Parker in an awkward spot defensively as that net is open, and Polar tries to get around on the shot, but it is a tricky one even for him, and so Cumberland stay at just a 1-goal lead for now.
Very rare complete whiff there from Polar, and you hope if you are a Cumberland fan that it won't end up kicking you in the end, like right here, right now, on the counter. It's slow and methodical in front of the net, but Manny opens up the door for Cass.
Nice beat here. Manny bests everybody on the goal line. Makes Next play that awkwardly as he's trying to dunk him there, and it's enough to set up Cass for a cleanup goal. And Bruton Parker are again holding it close with Cumberland despite the things going against them right now, and that's key in this series.
Big, complete redirect of the ball there from Bruton Parker. They will deny the original attempt of the kickoff from Cumberland. Ball will still stay in their half. Nightya off the corner, won't find much more, but does force Manny to jump early, who does have more room. Will get a nice 50, but now Nightya looks once again. Polar's there, Nex is there, the call is made. Nex almost lands back in that redirect there, but will not find any crazy wild touches. Polar will look for one of their own, almost being able to keep that aerial moving in the right direction. We'll go back to the wall instead. Nightya using the wall once again. A pre-jumped Cass. Somebody who has completely opened up a new leaf. Cass looks incredible! What a counter! All by himself!
This is a beautiful read. Angling his car so he gets a strong 50-50. Instead of just winning it neutrally, he gets that somewhat pinch downfield and puts Polar in a terrible spot there in the corner. So he's got an open net and shoots perfectly on it. 2-1. Bruton Parker again take a lead with a couple of minutes left, but they have to fend off a fervent Cumberland.
Nightya does have time to go to work, but Cumberland not finding any major offensive chances, at least in the back half of this game. We're only 30 seconds in, but it has belonged to Bruton Parker, and this game has been a different story, and I'm just going to stop talking. Tie game. Polar's first of the game.
And those fervent Phoenix won't be put down for very long. 2 minutes left, I said, and not 10 seconds later, Bruton Parker have lost their lead. Another perfect center ball, and got for Cumberland to strike through, and we continue to go back and forth here. Off kickoff, there is an opening for Manny and Antics. They were an incredible duo in the last series against James Madison, but here, Polar by himself is enough to stop him.
Antics has to be careful. 2 heavy touches in a row. Make it a third. Just try and delay. Maybe a poor missed touch with low boost in the tank. This one, though, from Cass is actually a shot on net off the corner. Next, we'll try and find one of his own. Faking. Antics is there. He'll just decide to wave dash all the way through. Looks for Cass, but it's only a mere scratch on the hood of his car. This is an awkward play, though. 50 goes directly into Cass, very luckily for Bruton Parker. And they are tied, but with a minute left, I mean. Can they find another late goal? Quick turnaround. It's going to be offered now. What a turnaround from Next to deny a potential game winner.
Went into space, too, where Cass couldn't immediately turn on the ball, but no harm done there. Cass still recovers it and finds a demo downfield. With that awkward touch from Nightya, there's an opening now for EVC to potentially score with less than a minute left. But Cumberland quickly closed that gap and find a clear. Nightya challenges first here against Cass and is successful. Pickpockets the Bruton Parker front man and forces the Barons to work off that back line. Polar in the corner does well to breach the near side, but BPC defend nicely, and we will keep this game tied up.
Polar, full boost, ceiling, read by Antics. Only one touch, though, so Nightya gets a chance to redirect. Next, we'll try and double that down. Polar, shot on, blocked by Manny. Under 30 seconds to go, and now Bruton Parker's first major defensive test comes at the hands of a tie game and a major lead in the series as well. It is a best of 7, but 2-0 is still 2-0. Next, we'll try to bump one. Polar up next. No pass, though. Goes for net. Now we'll next look for the pass. It looks like delay. Nightya was there, but is bumped by a Bruton Parker player. Polar up and above one. Manny by themselves has to be careful. Stalling touch. We'll try to put it down. It will not go down. Antics. Awkward shot for Next. With 0 seconds left in the grand finals. Cumberland grabs another game.
What a big-time goal. It just counts for one. But what an important one this is for Cumberland, going back and forth with Bruton Parker, letting some of their possession games slip in Game 2, but they don't let the game itself get away from them. 2-0 series lead. They continue to hammer away at their strongest rival in the SEL, but if this keeps going the direction it is right now, I don't know if you can call anyone Cumberland's rival in the Southeastern Esports League.
I mean, what more can you ask for Cumberland? 13 shots to the 4 of Bruton Parker. And yes, Bruton Parker has been efficient. I believe they were 2 for 3 last game, 2 for 4 this game. But Cumberland doesn't care about the stats. It is all about the pressure. And you mentioned the split in Game 1. You could throw it out the window. We may spend the entire series in the Bruton Parker defensive half. And Game 1, 3-2. Late game where Bruton Parker didn't have a major moment at the end, but still a heartbreaker. This one, though, it stings more than Game 1 did.
I mean, letting that one go on 0 seconds, that just adds to it. And I mean, in competitive Rocket League history, we have seen grand finals in big tournaments fall apart when a team gets a 0-second goal like that, especially when you consider the context of Cumberland having beaten the same team last week in the fashion that they did in the winners' finals. Now Bruton Parker's lost a game that I'm sure they felt like was within reach here on 0 seconds, and Cumberland grab a 2-0 series lead off the back of it. BPC need this game. If they lose it, I'm ready to call it.
Well, here we go. Nightya will try to kick off a Cumberland 3-0 series lead. Not to mention there is a bracket reset that must be performed as well. So a long road for Bruton Parker, but you can shorten it if you grab this game right here. Antics gets a little too high on that, or too low on that ball, I apologize, and hits it directly into the backboard. So Bruton Parker's first major chance falls away. Next we'll pinch this one ever so slightly. So Bruton Parker does get to reset, but not before Polar finds a dunk. Not before Nightya finds another one. And next now with a full tank of boost, Nightya's actually off the ceiling. Now Next will finally get to go to a 0 boost Polar, but that level of control for Cumberland, it's only going to get harder to play against the bigger of a lead you let them gather.
Just feels like Cumberland have some version of the game client that lets them know where the ball's going to be in half a second. And they're going to position just that little bit sooner than Bruton Parker. And it seems like they get up to challenge so quickly against BPC. It's got to be so annoying to play against this Cumberland roster. And now they've got a potential chance to score an opener. But Antics on the goal line stands tall for his Barons. The BPC are backed up without a ton of boost. It's mainly just Antics with resources to work with, and he's just been bested by Nex.
Manny has some room to work, does bump out a player, but that and one attempt does at least ruin his footing for the time being. Pass does go back in Cumberland's half, but not before hitting Next first, who will take a demo for his sacrifice, and now Naya will try to make that sacrifice worth it. Shot goes on net instead, and where in the world did Next go here?
Well, maybe he had the wrong version of the client there for a moment. Natya's just trying to salvage possession, and Next nowhere to be seen. I heard an explosion, and I think he did get blown up by Antics there on the backside. That's why that net was so open.
I think before that had gotten blown up by Antics, then Antics managed to track him down once again because they ended up in the corner together. So that's a little romantic getaway for both of them, and it will be a Bruton Parker goal. That is the final result of it. And now Cumberland once again are down in a game here, but Next will get a massive redirect that could have given Cumberland a chance to find a goal, but instead it's a lot of pre-jumping from all 6 members on the pitch.
Antics up, finds Manny on the sidewall. And if BPC can work together well here, they can break apart this Cumberland back line. Cass, though, misses a potential chance to shoot on target, and there were defenders there, but every little bit counts. Misforced BPC now to regain possession, which Manny does nicely. We can't breach that near side defense of Nightya. Gets credited for a save, but the clear is what Cumberland are aiming for right now. See what they can work with in offense. See if they can't get us knotted up once more.
Cass faking, demo, net will open up, Naya 1v3, that's a flick directly in the hands of what should have been Naya, but regardless, no redirect chance with that flick as well, so if Bruton Parker, shockingly, not able to, I won't say shockingly able to convert, but at least able to get a shot on, and now Next can bump Manny out, Polar pre-jump, big redirect, Naya once again on low boost on his back foot, faking play comes through, Antics will go off the backboard, Next will try to come save Naya, double won't come through, shot goes back towards the net, Polar will have another one in the tank, Manny no boost, and we'll call Antics off. So a lot of chaos thus far, but Bruton Parker only need 1 goal with a lead to make this game work, it seems like, but they still got to survive the next 90-ish seconds.
Well, they've had leads previously, but still don't have any of those circles underneath their name filled in with white just yet. And they've got 90 seconds to secure this game 3. Otherwise, as I said, it really gets close to a grand finals that is pretty much over and called for Cumberland. But still, good possession for Bruton Parker and an opportunity now to add to it. Cass strikes true, but Polar is in the way, falling off the backboard. He makes a save, and now he's very much locked into that backboard, and it leads to a quick counterattack that doesn't quite connect for Cumberland until now. Polar started that play with a save and ends it with a score.
The art of not forcing a shot. I personally believe Naya had no intention of shooting that ball there. It's too easy of a demo on a boost-filled but no momentum-based Cass. And unfortunately, no time to react. Great heads-up play from Naya. And they may find one more off the kickoff.
Cass collects, though, but lets the control slip. So Next is able to break back into offense for Cumberland. And now they can maybe have a go at stealing away another game from the Barons in more heart-wrenching fashions than the last. I don't know how you get more heart-wrenching than a 0-second goal, but I'm sure Cumberland will find a way as Bruton Parker again gets so close to nabbing another lead, but Cumberland find a way to make a stop, clear, and set Polar up for a double that just misses, and all BPC fans' hearts just skipped a beat.
Oh no! Antics blocks Cass! That is detrimental, diabolical, and dastardly at that! Bruton Parker will not find a goal. 20 seconds left. There has been 2 one-goal games, and now in this one, you're really gonna kick yourself if Naya can find the pass right here. 50, Polar's there to try and call game. Manny with the save. Polar back towards the net. No boost for Bruton Parker. Great 50, though, from Manny. Just about 5 seconds left here. 50 once again. Next one more. It could be a shot. Polar, backboard, straight down, 0 seconds, not another time. We finally get what we deserve. Overtime in a critical game 3.
Some scar tissue heals, but again, BPC have had themselves miss out on so many chances. You think about what could have happened in Game 2's potential overtime. What could have happened if they had a late lead, if that self-block doesn't come in on the Cumberland goal line. And now what could happen if they don't win this Game 3. Next goal necessary for the Barons, but it's Cumberland on the front foot for now, though Cass takes that away and pushes back on the Phoenix. Double centers the ball as Antics does well to put the Rock in a position to maybe find a goal early on in overtime, but Cumberland again hold true on their goal line.
Every touch just becomes more amplified with the pressure. If you're either team, double is in order for Bruton Parker. Antic can't get it on net, though. Will try and find a bump and may find a teammate. Pre-jump Cass, a very bold move that almost paid off dividends for Bruton Parker. Pass once again. Antics, I believe it was a pre-flip of some sort, but no redirect regardless. And now Cass, very dangerously in front of his net! It's critical error! A minute into OT, and Cumberland 3-0 is the series score.
What could have been becoming the story for Bruton Parker as Cass makes a huge mistake on the goal line. Couldn't keep control of the ball, and it's the same story as last week. Every mistake like that turns into a Cumberland goal, and every goal matters here, as so far we've seen 3 one-score games between these two teams, but it is always Cumberland with the last one.
Bruton Parker, for the first time this series, matched the pressure that Cumberland is able to provide. It was 10 to 11 shots, as you see on your screen, 6 to 6 saves, and the demo counter maybe a little bit inflated towards the very end and partially with that overtime, but every other stat is neck and neck. It's the closest between these two teams I think we've ever seen, within or without the CRL. So for Bruton Parker, you know you're right there. You can taste it. But down 3-0 and a bracket reset to go, it's either the most generational story in SEL history, or it is Cumberland stamping that bird on the top of the peak that is being a spring SEL champion and representing us in Texas.
We'll see if they can get the job done here. It would be an impressive comeback for sure. Needing 8 of the next 11 games to swing their way, and 4 of the next 4. A best-of-7 reverse sweep is what the Barons need, but what they need may not be in the realm of possibility, as Cumberland have themselves quite the cushion to sit upon now on potentially their SEL throne.
Cumberland, even at their most disorganized, always have a backup plan, and it tends to be Polar when it's all said and done at the end of the day. But teams of this nature across the national level of CRL don't normally have to depend on a solo player, but Polar brings that type of atmosphere like a musty on net here. Bump could come through, but the highlight play is denied, and Manny, once again, has been an amazing defender in this series, but it's not about the defense for Bruton Parker anymore. It is all about, can you put it to Cumberland for the first time? It won't be right now, though, and now it's a counterattack for Nex.
And we need a big-time stop from Antics, which we don't get, and Cass fumbles the collection on the goal line after he was bought enough time right there to make a stop, but he's got help, and the ball does move away from that BPC goal line, and is nearly another critical goal line error, but it's still 0-0 for now, with Cumberland still hitting hard in offense.
Polar, awkward, no wall to jump off of, but Naya comes off the side, open net, off the bar, read for Naya! What a counter for Cumberland that started with Naya coming off the pole!
And Nex nearly hit this himself. Naya, though, reads it perfectly, and Cumberland showed just how fast they can hit you in transition. What a stop initially, but the Phoenix score an important first goal on Driftwoods, and now look for a second.
Cass, awkward, but not awkward enough for Polar to pre-jump. He will be taken out of the play. Manny flipping, or no flip needed, actually. Just a double jump to beat out one, but that's kind of the plan for Cumberland. They have no reason to rush any major challenges, to throw themselves too far out of the play until that double commit right there. Their first one of this game at least, but compared to that upper final, Cumberland has looked not as consistent, not as strong as a unit together, and Bruton Parker has looked to maybe not be peaking, but pretty dang close to it. So with those two dynamics together, Bruton Parker not finding games early, we've already mentioned it, it hurts, but I do believe it is still doable for the side of the Barons, but that road needs to start soon. There's already 3 minutes left to go in the elimination match for the entire SEL Spring Split.
Starts with 1. They've got 3 minutes to provide that equalizer, with Cumberland still aiming at increasing their lead. Though there isn't a ton of boost for the Phoenix to work with. Not yet steals 100 in the Bruton Parker corner, but the Barons do find a way out of defense that is only temporary. Man, he skims that ball out to the side, and Next almost read it. Somehow, it leads to a shot from Polar that Bruton Parker let get close, but still do make the save. Halfway point of Game 4, which could be the final game of the SCL Season 5 Spring Split for, well, both Rocket League and Valorant, at least on the upper side of things, and Cumberland are aiming for that to be the case. 2-0.
And what a read from Next. It was actually on net. Cass was forced to use all of his boost to find that save. And Next, between all three members of Bruton Parker, still finding chances and opening up a free lane for Nightya. We're halfway through Game 4 here, and Cumberland looking to walk out champions early.
Out to the side, Next has another opportunity. An open backboard presents itself, and Next will miss that double tap, but Polar will step up as he looks for extra contact after hitting the ball hard. Doesn't come to fruition for Cumberland. They don't need another. Unless Bruton Parker can stage something themselves in offense, there is half of what BPC need to, at the very least, get to overtime again.
Big read for Manny there. An open net, a very rare open net. I believe the only open net since Game 1 that Cumberland has allowed. So you have to make sure that one finds the back, and that's exactly what he does. 2 minutes left. There's a lot that could go wrong and good for both teams.
Cass off the backboard. To stage more of Bruton Parker's comeback performance required to keep this series alive, but Cumberland have a 1v1. Again, it's Polar versus Cass. This time, though, the Dutchman gets the better of his counterpart, and off the side wall, Cumberland still have numbers in that BPC end, but Manny negates it, and see another stop at that midfield line, turn into potentially more possession for Bruton Parker. They need to continue forward and put pressure on that Cumberland goal line if they really want a good stay at this comeback. But Next with the counter of the century. What a shot that is.
Bar down for good measure. That speed is unheard of, and Manny wasn't ready for it. We weren't ready for it. Antics was frozen the entire time. Next wants to get out of here. That could be the dagger early, but Bruton Parker, they have fight. They've shown that against JMU, against everybody in the SCL, even right here trying to defend what was formerly their home field. But can they actually make it happen? Only about 60 seconds left to find that out.
Well, may let that one go. Didn't have boost to keep control. And so it's more precious time seeping off this clock. But another center pass opens up the backboard for BPC, and Antics couldn't get on top of that ball and put a strong contact on it. So we try to dump that off, I think, and it doesn't quite pan out as there's not a teammate there. Another missed opportunity for the Barons, and Cumberland move into really ice things. But Bruton Parker get themselves a stop, a clear, and a Manny looking to wreak havoc on that Cumberland goal line, but once more, it doesn't pan out until out of nowhere, a pass develops and Antics scores.
Cumberland just simply caught lacking here, maybe getting too comfortable with this potential grand final win. Bruton Parker are still very much in this game and potentially in this series, but I don't need to be the one to say this. You've got to find something quick here.
Kickoff strat, delayed kickoff for Bruton Parker, still results in Polar winning that face-off. So Cumberland set themselves up to take more time off this clock, even potentially score a fourth. Antics makes a save, but who's there for the rebound? It's Cass. Actually, Manny gets the save, but Cass the ultimate contact to push the ball to safety, though with 10 seconds left, Cumberland are still looking likely for a fourth, but BPC break out with some pace that Nightya shuts down, and Cumberland are this close to cementing themselves in SCL history. Bruton Parker need a goal on 0 seconds. They can't make it happen, and Cumberland are your SCL Spring Split champions.
And who better to not only run SCL Rocket League, but they did it in Valorant as well. Cumberland submitted 3 teams into this league. 2 in Valorant, 1 in Rocket League. All 3 made the grand final. It is program dominance for Cumberland, and I know for a fact that is all they preach up in Tennessee.
They were a roster built to win. 3 rosters built to win, and that they did. The first SCL championship in program history for Cumberland, and they do it in both esports in 1 semester. Congratulations to them as they add their names to the metaphorical rafters for the SEL. What a dominant semester for this trio. They didn't drop many games here, and in playoffs, they were close to flawless. Bruton Parker took some games off them. Actually, they just took one game off of them. Outside that, the Phoenix were flawless.
7-1 against Bruton Parker. And yes, the games were decently close other than upper final game 1. In fact, we got multiple overtimes. We got almost every game being within 1 goal. No games larger than a 2-goal deficit, other than, of course, that 8-1 once again. Bruton Parker aren't far behind. It's a good checkpoint for them in the national standings with a brand new addition as well. This is not the first time we will hear of Cass and Bruton Parker. And with LAN on the horizon, no CECC coming up in about 2 weeks as well, there's a lot this Bruton Parker team could do so that when they show up at LAN, where the real SEL bragging rights are on the line, they could come home victorious. But it's a long road. They seem close, but those margins Cumberland control within the palm of their hands. The palm of their hand, not plural, singular. That is what they've done to the SEL, and many, many teams, not just Bruton Parker, have got to step up and try and retake the throne.
Well, we wish them the best of luck at Nace's LAN this weekend, where they played this grand finals from. Hopefully that prepares them well for the performance they will need next month in Huntsville, likely against this same Cumberland roster again. But we got Polar in the booth with us, and I think we're about ready for an interview with them in celebration. Polar, you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing? Congratulations.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it. I mean, 4-0 in the grand finals against the Bruton Parker team that kept things close, but you guys ended up winning 4 straight. Talk me through that sweeping performance and all 4 being 1-goal games.
Yeah, I literally said to the guys before we played the series, I was like, I don't want any funny business. I don't care like how if we're up by 3. I don't care if we're down by 1. I was like, let's just play simple, normal Rocket League. So that probably explains the 1-goal games. Didn't push anything too far. We needed the win. We wanted the 4-0, so we can get the CCC. So.
Well, congratulations on getting those flights booked officially now. I think we all expect you to do well in some of your other leagues when you travel to go compete in the million different lands that I'm sure you guys are getting ready for at the time being. So I'll ask you one more question about the series itself, and I'll ask you one about what's next to come. What do you think Bruton Parker did to bring these games closer? Because, yes, I do hear that Cumberland wasn't too locked in on trying to put a lot of goals on, but Bruton Parker did look a lot better in that upper bracket final. What do you think the key changes were that gave you guys trouble?
I mean, like they were solid. Like they were like consistently like making good touches and good hits forward. But I think like predominantly a lot of their goals came from a pushed up third man into an open net for most of our goals, to be honest with you. So I think it was kind of just baiting us into that challenge as a third man and just kind of capitalizing on that dive or that like early push ball.
Well, I'm not going to ask you about CECC because that's a topic for another time, but in terms of the future here in the SEL for Cumberland, LAN is looking to be about as stacked as it's ever been, not to mention that there's a Kennesaw State roster who may have Flitz sub in. Is there anybody that we're worried about outside of Bruton Parker or Bruton Parker at all in SEL land lately?
I'm not really worried about anyone. Yeah, to be honest, just my honest opinion. I don't, even when I play the best of the best, I don't worry about it. I know if I play my own game and I perform well, I can win on the day no matter who it is.
I mean, that kind of confidence has gotten you this far, so it's a pretty good mentality. And you got a lot of travel coming up, and I'm curious, over the course of the next month, you guys are doing a lot of traveling to lands. Are you having to prepare yourselves mentally for being on the road, living in hotel rooms, being in different cities, competing at all, or are you prepared for that kind of travel schedule?
I mean, considering I've come away from the UK, I think I'm pretty prepared. I mean, I've traveled a lot. Back in the EU days, so I think we're fine. We're LAN players more than anything else, so we're used to it.
Well, that's even scarier, the fact that you guys might be better on LAN here. Congratulations, Polar, to you and the full team for such a dominant season and capping it off with a win.
Oh my God!
Thank you.
All right, TJ, that concludes the SEL Spring Split for Rocket League outside of the Rising Star playoffs right now. As I want to update everybody on that really quickly because it's happening in tandem with our lower bracket finals and grand finals here, as Lander Academy ended up beating UGA 3-1 in their best of 5, and right now have taken game 3 over UCF Academy, but UCF Academy won the first 2, so 2-1 at the moment in Rising Star playoffs, and that's a pretty big series. As UCF Academy, we're definitely favorites going into that, but Lander Academy's putting up a fight.
Yeah, I've got no comment regarding the unfortunate UGA upset. I will say that Koopa Troopa was in Japan for 2 weeks and did just get back at 3 a.m. today. So for UGA, I'm proud of the guys. Top 3 Rising Stars. There is a lot of Rising Stars on that team, not just Unk, Koopa Troopa, but Lunetta and Meard are new faces of the SEL. Excited to see what they can do hopefully next semester. Lander, that's a program that is extremely talented, not to mention that they just recently, without any sort of announcement, Reveal is coming to that school and is recruiting for teammates right now. So this is not the first time we will see, or the second, third, however many times we will see Lander. That's a team that you'll have to watch out for in the future when they start to bring in all the big guns.
I think you're thinking of Repeat, who was already there.
Other arm.
So he's been there for a little bit, but they are recruiting, they're building a team around him. So I expect we see that A team, once they do fill in the spots around Repeat, later on in the SEL. Their academy teams here testing the waters, tossing Papa Pack in against unsuspecting teams like UCF Academy right now. But that's a story for another time, as we've got LAN to focus on now. Everything's been sealed up. Cumberland do end up nabbing the second seed now, going into LAN, as Florida's not competing, as they hurdle over James Madison with that win over Bruton Parker. So BPC are at number 1, Cumberland's at number 2, and the rest will fill in where they fill in. But TJ, that does it for us. You got any last words for the spring split as we prepare for the real LAN season across the board everywhere?
It's just so surreal to see the growth of Collegiate Rocket League, not just within the SEL, but in general. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it, even if we are just a small, I guess, minor regional league compared to the grand scheme of things. The SEL has grown an insane degree, and it's because of you on the other side of this device you're watching on right now. Your support means the absolute world. I got hired about a year and a half ago because of you. Vepic has been working like crazy with Fred and Infernosis and Dallas and so many other talented individuals for you. You guys make this worth it. I cannot wait to be at my second SEL LAN. It should be a blast. We get to see all of the players face to face. Me and you get to reunite on LAN casting. It's going to be about as close to a family gathering as it can be. And again, it is because of you, the viewer. Thank you so much for this season.
Well, one last shout out to MSI for sponsoring the Rocket League portion of SEL this semester. They've been a fantastic sponsor, and I hope you all can support them alongside supporting the Southeastern Esports League. But yes, thank you so much for watching this split, and we're looking forward to LAN in Huntsville next month. I can't wait for it. Stay tuned in the SEL Discord for announcements regarding LAN, regarding our high school LAN the Friday before our official collegiate LAN championship. Just make sure you're following the SEL on all platforms, in Discord, on the 3 T's of social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. And that's it. For myself, DJ TJ, and Shaka in the background producing these shows, thank you so much for watching the SEL Season 5 Rocket League Spring Split, and we will see you in Huntsville.